Well, Craig, controversy continues to swirl around this White House with an appointment yesterday of Robert Mueller, former FBI director, to head up the investigation into the Russia ties, potentially with the Trump campaign. How is that being received so far?
Well, it's actually been well received on both sides of the partisan divide in Congress. There are still Democrats who would like to see more. They would like to see an independent commission with a more public obligation to report. Now, remember, the job of the special counsel is to review criminal activity and to issue a report that may never be public. But the man has been widely applauded. He has a great deal of credibility. So in terms of the scope of the criminal investigation within the Justice Department, the choice is being very well received.
How does this move to appoint Mueller affect the politics of this situation?
Well, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off someone like Paul Ryan, the House Speaker, amid all the clamor for broader investigations, more independent investigations. It doesn't entirely remove that, but now you've got somebody with a great deal of credibility among Democrats as well as Republicans. So I think it takes a little bit of the pressure off the issue of whether there will be a truly independent investigation of the Russia affair. But there's still a lot of politics swirling around the congressional investigations. And now you have the added element of the latest report involving former FBI Director James Comey. The House Oversight Committee, with Paul Ryan's backing, is requesting documents related to the conversations that took place between the president and Jim Comey, and whether the president, in fact, asked the FBI director to back off an investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. So there's plenty of upheaval, ongoing upheaval. The chaos is not ending here. I think there's a glimmer of hope for the Republican congressional leadership that they can return the focus a little bit to their legislative agenda.
Well, that was my next question. Paul Ryan and the other Republican leaders after the election saw an opportunity to, perhaps a generational opportunity, to enact some of the things that they've had on their agenda for many years. But the turmoil in the administration has really been a problem for them. So what does all of this do to that agenda at this point?
Well, it's not just the turmoil coming out of the White House. I mean, it turns out that there is not entirely a Republican consensus around these issues. You've got real policy disagreements. We saw that play out in the struggle to get a health care bill passed in the House, and now the challenges facing that legislation in the Senate. That's a long, heavy lift. And now tax reform, which looks like it's going to take a lot longer than Republicans initially hoped, and there's big disagreements over aspects of the tax plan that is favored by Paul Ryan, and we're still waiting to hear more about what the White House really wants. So there's just the challenge of finding a Republican legislative consensus, and then on top of that, again, the chaos at the White House is not going to end anytime soon. You have the added element, for example, while these investigations are going on, of how the president reacts to the investigations, and we saw that in a very striking way this morning after issuing a statement last night that was fairly sober about the appointment of Robert Mueller. Donald Trump went on a little bit of a tirade this morning on Twitter and called himself, called it a witch hunt. And that kind of pattern is going to continue to, I think, dog congressional Republicans.